We're going to talk about the real estate market today. What did we learn in 2021 and what do we think 2022 is going to bring us? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of the lessons, some of the news articles, some really interesting stuff. So stick around right after this and we come back. We're going to take live questions. We're going to answer them live here on our show today. But stick around. We're going to chat right away. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jared Chamberlain, and we are here. We are live today. Rebecca has joined me today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is a bright morning out. The sunrise
Well, it's because the
is
light's in
beautiful.
here, isn't that what it is?
Oh, the sky was so beautiful this
Oh,
morning.
was it? Oh,
Yeah.
I got in early. I didn't even see the sun.
Oh, it was lovely.
I left
It was
early,
lovely.
had to shovel. So
Yeah.
fun. But today we are not talking about shoveling. And we're not talking about the sun, but we are talking about how hot the real estate market is.
Yeah, and it continues to be. Yep. I think we
ever.
had the most sales in November that we've seen since 2005. It's been a really busy month.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
It has been a busy month.
Yeah.
The whole team here, I think we wrote about 36 or 37 offers this month.
Yeah.
With the team, and yeah, it's been a busy month.
Which I think is surprising because most people think that once it gets close to Christmas, people stop house shopping.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the countdown to Christmas works reversely for people.
Yeah.
They want to buy a house before Christmas. It's kind of like their Christmas present to themselves.
It's true. It's true. No, that's very, very good points. And so today we're going to be talking about three different things. We're going to talk about the real estate market, what has happened right now in Calgary specifically. Then we're going to go jump into some news articles, and we're going to look at what is kind of happening across the country. What are we seeing there? What are we seeing in some of the articles? And then the last one, we're going to talk about lessons learned. So we came up with 3 lessons for sellers, 3 lessons for buyers that we have learned that if you are planning on buying or selling in this market, that you can take with you into 2022. And obviously, we want to have your questions. This is live, so I know there are people watching. I see your numbers sitting there. Comment below, and I'm going to just do a few things to make sure that we can see. There it is, comments. So there we go. Now I can see. Oh, thank you. We already got a comment. You are great. No, you are great. Can I get it up there? There you go. Thank you, Raj. And so put in the comments. We want to watch you guys. We want to interact. We want to watch you. I can't see you. You see us. So we want to interact with you guys and have some great conversation this morning. So let's start off with, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe because we like subscribers.
Yeah, it's been a fun channel to grow.
It has been.
Especially over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And as I think everyone's on their phone more and on their screens more versus doing a commute to the office. So yeah.
There you go.
Who doesn't want to see your face?
Who doesn't want to see my face? So let's jump into this. So we're going to talk about the Calgary market specifically. Rebecca has some great insight with all of the transactions and interactions. Oh, it was like a nice little way. Transactions and interactions that you've had over this past year or this past month too. Let's jump in. So again, if you have questions, pop them in the comments below. We want to know, are you planning a move in 2022? We want to run a poll. So we're going to see while we're going live. So put a yes or a no. So we'll know what you mean. And same thing, what do you think is going to happen this year? So put those in comments. We'll add them to the broadcast here shortly. But right now, let's take a look at what happened in November of 2021, this last month in Calgary. So all of Calgary, all condos, all houses, the benchmark selling price rose year over year. So compared to last November, it rose 8.9% up to $461,000. And we also had 2,100 sales, which was a 46% increase in the number of properties that sold.
Wow.
That is insane.
I mean, we do have to think we're a big city. So
it's true.
It's not that many. And new builds, I'm sure that date, like as far as if you want to build, you're now looking at, in many cases, a year build time. And so that's putting people looking back at the resale market at maybe even homes that have only been used for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's true. And I think with that too, so I'm just moving things around here. So with that as well, we have to think about last year at this time, we were kind of going into another wave or a lockdown.
Right.
So today's December 3rd. So I think it was like December 10th or 12th or somewhere around there where we actually had another or shut down again. And so there was kind of that feeling in the air. So where this year there doesn't feel like that necessarily.
I think we all really want to spend Christmas with our family. So we're gonna just keep that vibe alive.
That's right. I think a lot of people are trying to keep that vibe alive. It's true. So that could have played into this number of sales. That's what I'm saying is more people making transactions because they feel more comfortable in this current situation and the current economy and all of that, right?
People moving forward.
Yeah, totally. So with that, our inventory, or start over here, our new listings, 1,900 new listings came on the market, which is up only about 15%. So there were some more new properties that came on the market, but overall our inventory is still a lot lower at 3,900 listings.
Yeah. And there's lots of buyers who would like to buy, but I think even though the inventory is small, they're not willing to compromise as to what they want. So that's kind of slowing buyers. Like it's harder for buyers because there's less choices.
No, it's true. And so for detached houses specifically, so they went up about 10% year over year, which was about a $542,000 benchmark sale price. And the number of detached homes that sold was 1,246. So let me look at this. So out of the 2,100 total sales in November, 1,200 of those were houses.
Wow.
So just so everyone understands that. And 41% increase year over year. Semi-detached houses, 429, so up 8% for the benchmark compared to last year price. 211 sales, which is up 37%. 299,000 for townhouses, which is up 6%. And that was up 68% compared to last year this time, that's crazy.
I think too, like before you could have a single detached smaller home in that price point.
That's true.
And there's just a lack of inventory because prices have gone up.
Yeah. So then prices have risen on townhomes.
Yeah.
And there was kind of like I don't want to say a trend, but last year and into the beginning of this year, a lot of people were looking for more space.
Right.
So they weren't necessarily always buying or trying to buy something like that.
Right.
Maybe first-time buyers were still renting, didn't know what was happening.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not saying these are real things. I'm just
and I've seen a resurgence too. I find I've worked with a lot of seniors, lots of people that are in their 80s, and they're selling their marital home or their home that they lived in forever, and they're just lifestyle-wise is more conducive to having a condo, even an apartment condo. So we're seeing different trends, and even though it's winter, people are still. Now is the time. We haven't seen snow. November was a very warm season, so I think maybe that postponed people's minds of not wanting to move in the snow. But there were lots of people that made those moves. Yeah,
very true, very true. And so apartments went up only about 1.4%, which is still going in the right direction, going up. But compared to all the other 6, 8, and 10, the whole market was 8.9%. Compared to that is a lot lower. The number of sales did go up 58% at 332. But there's some interesting things we'll talk about condos in a little bit. But I don't know. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing an increase in sales for apartments too. I talked to someone yesterday. They had bought their condo in 2007, and it still is a little bit of frustration because they paid more in 2007 than what they would sell it today. So will we start to finally stabilize in the condo market now that we're seeing shortages basically in all supply chains? So that, and building costs. So we could start to see that again. The encouraging thing is people are coming back to Calgary. People always ask me, when do you think the condo market's going to stabilize? Yeah. And really, it was really connected to the oil and gas markets 5 years ago when people left. The condo market really has not stabilized since then. So as people continue, they can work from home. We may see more people coming here. It'll be an interesting year.
See what happens for sure. All right. Well, if you have any comments or thoughts about this, please put them in. And again, if you're planning on moving, put a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a yes or a no in 2022. We're not going to hound you. It's just more interesting to see those of you that are watching if this is something that you are doing. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to move into the articles. So we've seen and found some interesting news articles over the last month that have talked about kind of just across the country, really. And it's talked about some of the expectations, some of the things that people are seeing, some of the reports that have come out. And the first one we want to talk about was an article in Maclean's, just the end of November. It came out, and what to expect in 2022 across Canada. And so these Canadian type articles, I think, are always so interesting because they just put this blanket statement out there.
Right.
And then people see it and read it and just freak out.
Right.
And we get calls about that, about people just saying, what is going to happen? I just read this article. You're like, yeah, but that was across the whole country.
Right.
And every city has their own micro market. And that even every neighborhood inside the city has a micro market. And then even the type of home inside the neighborhood has its own little market. And so when we read this, we want to kind of, are these real fears, or is this kind of a not completely true for locally here in Calgary? So they basically said they're expecting these three things to happen. The first one is to prepare for a sales dip. So meaning the number of homes potentially dropping in terms of how many homes are selling in 2022. The second one is the bubble could burst, meaning, well, exactly that. The bubble could burst. And the third one is prices will drop eventually. So first one, preparing for a sales dip. What do you see, or what have you seen in Calgary? What do you think, Rebecca, in the next year could happen with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting... for me, you always wonder at the end of the year what the following year is going to be like. I think in any industry people are in. But I think I had more people move and transition this year than I've seen probably in 5 years. I've been talking to some of these people, 10 years, they finally made a move. So part of that is I've been selling real estate for quite a while. The other part is that I don't think people yet know. Maybe some people bought the wrong home. We're still seeing an influx come from out of province into Calgary. I talked to a couple people actually this week that are, leaving the island, coming to Calgary, do family. So it'll be really interesting. I think even as people go back to work, they don't even know, we're all kind of waiting to see what the next 6 months can bring as things hopefully open up again.
Yeah, no, it's true. And so then as for bubble could burst, what I thought was interesting here is they actually talk about and compare Toronto as the second worst city based on risk next to Frankfurt, Germany. So I'm assuming this is across the world.
Yeah.
And then though Vancouver is in a risky territory too, is what it says. And so what I thought was interesting is, us here in Calgary, we don't know, we might see these articles, but we don't feel it. And GTA, so the Greater Toronto Area, home prices climbed 22% in record November. So our number for this last year, or this month, we rose 8.9%, where Toronto rose 22%. And Toronto actually broke the million, not just a million, but the 1.1 mark for their average. I think it was average selling price for resale house or condo. Yeah. And so their average price is now 1.16, and it was under a million last month in October, right?
It's really just two different conversations.
It is.
And even when, yes, prices in Calgary have gone up and people are very fearful that they are buying at the high, but we still haven't hit some of the 2017 and 18 price levels here in Calgary. So this article, I get that from lots of people. They're concerned with prices, bursting. Yeah. And of course, no one has a crystal ball, but we are often it's Toronto and Vancouver information they're pulling from, which is just a different
Yeah,
conversation.
different conversation, and that's the hard part with being stuck in the middle, literally and physically.
Yeah.
Is that's what happens, and so because of that, there was an article that came out. Well, I was in it, and so it's kind of maybe a little biased, but Calgary condo market catching attention of investors outside of the province, and so in the Calgary Herald yesterday or this morning it came out. And basically, we have seen a fairly dramatic increase in number of individuals from Ontario, specifically some from BC too, but from Ontario, looking to purchase rental properties here. And so, what is interesting about that is in talking to those people about rental options, so many GTA individuals, I think, because they've made money in their home. And they're comfortable with condo markets. So they want to come here and buy the condos in Calgary.
Right.
And with our agents and with some of these, investors, we've tried to talk them and show them, here's how it's really good, like a good way to buy a rental in Calgary. And typically that's more of that single family house, those kind of things, where they just have a real comfort with condos.
Right.
And pre-sale condos, right?
Right. And their condos have gone up substantially.
Right.
And so
that's what they're expecting to happen here too.
And I mean, I hope that demand increases. I think anyone who has owned a condo, when you bought a condo in 2007 to 2014, that was the trend.
Yeah.
So I welcome these investors.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more rentals. We're seeing more people buy these condo buildings and turn them into rentals. So it'll be an interesting trend to watch. There still is a lot of shadow condo inventory.
Yeah.
So it will, but lots of people not prepared to take a loss.
No.
So.
And in here, the questions that the reporter was asking me was more of, is that a bad thing? Is buyers from out of province wanting to buy condos as rentals a bad thing? And I said, no, I don't think so. Like right at the bottom, the purchase of condos in Calgary will generate more rentals in our market and help reduce the oversupply of inner city condos, in which both are positive factors.
Right.
And so I truly, and I know you probably feel the same, right?
Right. Yeah. So, and I think that too, in some stages, to have more rental inventory is a positive. Sometimes at different age brackets, it doesn't make sense to buy a condo. It makes sense to rent. We don't want to live in our parents' basement forever.
No, I'm good. And the last one here was an article, I think it just came out this morning. Yeah, CTV News, house prices in Canada will rise higher in 2022. So I think this is one of the RE/MAX housing market outlook reports for the country. And specifically to Calgary, Edmonton. Calgary and Edmonton became sellers markets this year, a trend that's expected to continue into 2022. The report attributes this to heightened demand coming from home buyers migrating from Ontario and British Columbia while supply remained low.
Yeah.
So I guess we're maybe right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are getting a lot of international, not international.
Interprovincial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canadian eyes on our market because it is more affordable. I mean,
And
that's the average, the fact that Toronto, the average house price is over 1.1 is,
it's staggering.
It takes a lot of people out of the market, a lot of young families. And that's, I think, the attraction to the Western provinces.
Yeah.
Is just that it's affordable. You could have a house and a yard and go skiing and
That's true. It's true.
Live the Western dream. I don't know.
Live the Western dream. Is there a Western dream?
No, I just made that up. And nobody.
And I guess to go back to that one last article there, prices will drop eventually. I think that's true. It'll take longer for upward pressure to dissipate than we previously thought, expecting prices to flatten in the second half of 2022 instead of the earlier part of the year. Just because, again, inventory is still so low. And I don't think we're going to see prices flatten or settle down until inventory comes up because demand is still there.
Right. And a lot of people in 2020, builders of alike, didn't want to invest in the market. And so we even have a shortage of supply. They weren't doing as many spec homes. So it's going to take a while for inventory even to increase. Plus, it's a slow moving train. And again, Calgary hasn't seen these rapid, no one has made $300,000 to $400,000 in their house this past year. And so it's a different conversation we're having in Calgary than we're having in other parts of the province.
Well, you were talking about one of the clients that reached out to you recently who moved. Yeah. You can tell the story.
So they moved to the island in 2014, and their house price has doubled, and now they're moving back to Calgary to be closer to family. And so that's an interesting, they're coming back with almost twice as much money as they left in 2014. 2014 was a high in Calgary. I always say it's interesting, if we look at the last couple years, we've seen real estate highs in 2007, 2014, and 2021.
Yeah.
I really hope, Calgary has typically, as people know it, been a boom and bust cycle. I'm excited to see some stability, especially now that people have the option to work from remotely.
Yeah.
And I think they're, even for lifestyle and for jobs, it would be very hard for lots of people if they all of a sudden just had to go back in the office. I think for families specifically, some of them have enjoyed, not everybody, but they've enjoyed working from home.
Yeah. And possibly for employers too.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if that is something real where for employers it'd be kind of hard all of a sudden to have everybody there and go back to their old ways when now there might be new ways that they have to that are working well.
Right. And
I don't know. It's different when we're doing real estate and we're running around and outside.
Yeah, when people have said they've been at home for 2 years, I can't even fathom the great set of Lululemon or pajamas that they have from working at home.
That's right. Well, this is good. So I think, so I think we want to move into what we have learned over this past year and for buyers and sellers and what you guys can take into next year, some of these lessons that we have seen. And so we got 3 buyers lessons, 3 sellers lessons we want to jump into. But again, if you are watching live, please type in live. Just let us know where you're watching from, even just from the city. If you're watching out of town, we'd love to just interact with you. And again, if you are not a subscriber, subscribe, hit that like button, hit the bell so you see more videos as we continue to post them. So the first one we're going to talk about for buyers is exactly what you were just bringing up before, and it's how we interact with our homes and how that has changed because of the last 2 years, right?
Yeah. So they become gyms, they become office spaces. Yeah. I think for the most part, kids are back in school, but obviously some people have chosen to homeschool. So you just need more space in your home. And, even for just dinners, it's easier sometimes for people just to host, whether, restrictions allowed.
Yeah.
I don't know how that looks.
Legally.
Outside, you're seeing, I was listening to the radio yesterday and they was talking about the arts, like the art, like some actors and how they transitioned over the last year and a half as they would perform for people from their porch, right? So we have more outside front lawn.
We did that 2 years or a year and a half ago, the front lawn concert or whatever.
And
right?
I think some of it, being outside or, sitting outside is not always, it's a positive thing. So I think that there's been some good things about it, but we've just used our home more and we've often, you're not sitting maybe in a coffee shop. I think 50% of the coffee shops, it's easy to sit down. So it's just changed.
Yeah. And I think the lesson there, sorry, I got distracted on the screen. The lesson there is figure out how you are living in your home differently. If you are planning on making a move, consider how your family is using it. Do you have more space, less space? Do you need more space, less space? Do you want to make sure that gym stays at home, that you have a space for an artistic outlet, whatever it is? Learn that, figure that out, make note of it, because when you go to purchase or make that move, that's going to be really, really important to do that. And so the second one is that many people can move provinces for a better lifestyle and keep their current jobs that they already have. And this goes back to a lot of people moving here from out of provinces, moving to Calgary because it is a better lifestyle. It's more affordable. You've got the mountains. You have real winter and real summer. Well, compared to Toronto, it's not real summer.
Right.
But you have the seasons. It's a big city, the amenities, all that kind of stuff. And you have people moving here. And I think that's going to change our market too in the next number of 4 or 5 years even.
Yeah, we continue to see people move here that sometimes haven't even come to Calgary and they're considering, I had that conversation with many, I think of one couple this year And, they'd been following us on our YouTube channel and they were excited about coming here. They were just going to explore it. And within a week and a half, they'd purchased a house. And so, and a house that was probably, in the 800 price point, which is on the higher range for Calgary, but they were coming from Toronto. So it wasn't, they didn't.
And actually, I think we were putting that video, I did an interview with them and that video is going to go live, I think in the next month or so.
Oh, okay.
But he was saying that house that they bought in, where was
Valley
it again?
Ridge.
Valley Ridge, that they spent $850 on or whatever it was. It would have been probably $2 to $2.5 million where they were from. So that's that. Like when you're here locally, you don't really fully get a full picture of what it's like other places because your own backyard is your own backyard and it just is what it is. But all of a sudden you have people coming here and it's like $800 for this house.
Yeah. Context
day,
is
right?
everything. Yeah. So, and then.
Yeah. And so the third one is there's a lot of competition with multiple offers still. And so having a strategy and a seasoned expert to help guide you through that process is really, really key. And this is the third one because this is going to be around. This is not going to go away. The other week there was one house, one of Aaron on our team, he was competing in it as a buyer and there's 15 offers on that house.
Yeah.
We've seen places in Altador, lots that were listed at 8 something go for over $1 million. Like just some of this stuff that's happening out there is going to continue to happen. So being prepared is going to be really important.
Yeah, and talking and having a plan and talking with your realtor. The amount of buyers that I talk to, that are initially doing some soft inquiries and that they don't have, they haven't got it pre-approved. In some multiple offers, there's been no financing condition. You really have to have a plan and know that because of the lack of inventory, competition and prices that because they are on the rise, we're not seeing this go away. Yeah. And so probably it's better to buy, sooner than later because but not the wrong home. I would never suggest someone to buy the wrong home, but it is having a plan so that you can get your conditions met really quickly. You can have your home inspection pre-booked. All of these factors, which if you're competing could help you win.
It just makes it easier for the seller.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell that to selling agents all the time. I will make your life easy because the buyers, when I'm working with buyers, I've done that homework and we've worked together to make sure that the process should be smooth and that there should be little surprises.
Yeah, it's true. So in speaking of hot market, the first tip for sellers is the lessons that we've learned this past year that you can take into 2022 is the market is hot, but just because it's hot and it's a seller's market does not mean that overpriced and underprepared properties are going to sell.
Or for the maximum value. So
or for the max
we're
value,
still seeing a lot of houses that, they've decided the real estate market is hot and the agent has just said, let's list it. And, they're leaving money on the table because it's not positioned well. And buyers still, they watch a lot of HGTV buyers. So they still want this fall in love magical experience often. And
like when is the music play when you walk through the door?
Yeah. When are they going to serve me coffee so I can, whimsically walk from room to room? So those are things that sellers can't just, they're leaving money on the table and opportunity on the table if they don't have a strategy and a plan.
Totally. Yeah. And so the second one for sellers, we've more than past years, I would say, we have seen more deals collapse or buyers have more buyer remorse because they're emotionally writing offers.
Yeah. And
so, you've probably experienced that.
I think, this year. Yeah. And it's always talking to someone. I think there's that urgency of not feeling like they don't want to miss out on something. So I'm continually trying to have those conversations with buyers. I really emphasize a plan when I'm working with buyers, but I have been in situations where I feel like the buyer's agent or the buyer hasn't had a full conversation of what they want or if this works for them. And so then they pull out. It actually happened on one of my listings where the wife loved it. We were conditional. The wife loved it, but the husband wasn't on board. And so they rescinded their offer, which again is a lot of energy for everyone to put out. So You see that in these types of hot markets, but just important conversations to have.
Totally. Yeah. And the third one is don't list your home until you have a plan on the next. So Alex on our team and I shot a video about how to avoid panic. So you can search that, how to avoid panic when moving, because if you don't have a plan and you just try to rush into the market right now, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really, really hard and complicated. And we all know living with family is what?
Yeah, complicated.
Well, we haven't had to do it.
Yeah, we have never lived with family. Well, maybe one day we did when we did painting spraying.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's true.
I think it's always that chicken egg, especially if you need to sell your house in order to buy. Yeah. But because there's less inventory, and if you're looking in some of the older areas, you know, I had people that clients that had to move to the west for Calgary Academy, and we were looking all the way from Scenic Acres to Evergreen because just they wanted a variety of homes. And
so just to put that in perspective, that's like all the way in the northwest to all the way in the southwest along the whole west side of the city.
Yeah.
Like that's not like little area. It's a massive area.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I get it. They were moving in from Chestermere. And sometimes you see that when you're moving in from a bedroom community, Okotoks, Chestermere, or Cochrane, you aren't getting as big of a home in Calgary for what you paid in those communities. Yeah. And so then it's a little bit of sticker shock when you start shopping in those areas because it's just different. It's different. Yeah. And so I think having a plan, living in a hotel is not, ideal, or just getting into the renter territory. All of these things, at least to have that conversation. Sometimes it's hard to know when your house will sell and what the plan is, but it's just good to have that discussion.
Totally. Well, so those are the three. So how to interact with our homes has changed. Many people can move provinces and have better lifestyles and keep their jobs. And there's a lot of competition with multiple offers for you buyers out there still. So have your ducks in a row, your papers ready, have a plan, know who your inspectors are going to be, your lawyers, get everything up and up because it makes it easier. So those are the three lessons we learned for buyers this year. And for sellers, again, to recap, the market is hot, but an overpriced and underprepared home is not going to sell. And buyers are emotionally writing offers right now because especially when you get into that 10, 15 offer area, and it's not happening all the time, but sometimes it does. But deals can collapse because there's buyer remorse that comes into play. And the third one is don't list your home until you have a plan because, again, living with family can be kind of complicated. So those were the lessons that we learned in 2021 from buyers and for sellers. And so I don't know if you've got some lessons you've learned, put them in the comments below if you've made transitions this year as well. But that is, I don't know, is there any other thoughts you have? We've talked a lot today.
Yeah, thank you for joining in. It's early Friday morning. I think my kids counted 22 days till Christmas.
I think so.
If you haven't already joined, we have our 12 Days of Christmas on our Chamberlain Instagram page. So we'll do a link there. Yeah. We'd love for you to join that. I think basically just tag a bunch of friends. We have some fantastic prizes. So Jared will add that. And would love to hear, even in your comments, if you've made it this far in the video, where your favorite places are to look at Christmas lights in the city or some favorite Christmas activities. I know I'm thinking, Christmas is coming so quickly. What are we going to do?
It's true.
So, yeah.
So right here, I just pulled it up really quick as Rebecca was talking there. So this is our Instagram page. So for those of you that are still watching, we have 12 Days of Christmas going on. Yesterday, day 3. Here's our third day right there. So day 2, day 1. So how you enter is if you want to enter for today's draw, you go to that and you put in your comments. I don't know how to make...
You tag some friends.
Yeah. So looks like we already, it's not telling me how many comments, but these are the comments already for today. And oh dear, it clicked out. Oh, and our dog walked into the office right now. Live video, so fun. Our dog is waving at the door going, please let me in. And then the other one is you scroll down and you might hear her barking in the background. Sorry. This one right here. So we have over 1,300 comments on the main post, and this is how you're going to enter for our draw and our giveaway for the next couple days. So we're on day 3 of 12 days, and there might be a bonus 13 day. So get in there and do that as well. But that is what we have. So this has been a great half hour in conversation and talking about the market, what we learned. So again, we're always here to help you guys out. So if you're making that move, making a transition, you need some advice, we're here to help. So reach out to us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca, or you can give us a call at 587-316-5400, and we're going to be able to help you guys out. But until next time.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Adios. We'll see you guys later.
Talk to you soon.